Yep, bud.
Take a slight right turn.
You gonna speak to the people?
Hello, hello.
Merge onto I-70 East.
Hello, I see zero. Oh, I see a viewer.
Yay.
Live. Hey, Jordy. Farkas says. Who you calling Jordy? I hope everyone...
For 52 miles.
I hope everyone's having a nice day. I see Lawrence Johnson in the house. Squirrel Lips in the house. 33 people watching already? Holy cow.
Oh.
It's frozen on my screen, so hopefully it's showing us on yours. We had to preemptively end our live stream yesterday because of torrential downpours in West Virginia, to the point I thought the car was going to get blown off the road. It was like I think, who was it? Carl Knight said it looks like a twister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was right. So we had to pull over for a little bit and then get a hotel like immediately. We were planning on driving further than West Virginia, but it was just not safe. So press that like button. Let's get this out to more people so we could have a fun, you could travel with us as we head home. Fear and loathing on the campaign trail. Indeed, indeed. I really enjoy these trips. Jenn is driving. Give me a little break. I think I'm pretty much, think 4 hours away from New York, so that's good. Hey, Jordan and Jenn, did you know Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report showed a clip of yours today? Holy cow!
Oh,
breaking news!
Nice.
Mike Figueredo is showing us more than YouTube. No, I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out. Which clip was it? Was it the latest crazy Trump supporter? Keep pressing that like button. We got 50 viewers for 84,000 subscribers, so that's awesome. Share this live stream. Let's get this out to more people. We want to take your questions, comments, concerns. What a road trip. And by the way, if you haven't seen, because there's a possibility you haven't seen it, we interviewed Breonna Taylor's aunt, Bianca. And unfortunately, through YouTube's fuckery, it only has I think almost 500 views. Obviously, it should have a lot more views than that, but I don't think a lot of people have seen it, unfortunately. So if you look on the channel after this live stream, we would love more people to see that full interview. It's about 24 minutes long, very, very powerful, sad, infuriating, powerful, and unfortunately, whatever YouTube is doing this week with its algorithm, I think it had 66 views in an hour, which I don't even think is really possible, but you never know. So, yes, the crazy Trump supporter. Oh, okay, I'll check out the Humanist Report after. Jordan and Jenn and Jamal are back. Wow, you're damn right. Jenn, speed racer. Don't get me started on Jenn's driving.
Oh my God, stop.
How you feeling today?
I'm a good driver. He gets mad at me because my RPMs are too high. I don't even know what that is.
Because you pressed it on the gas pedal so hard that your RPMs is all the way up to 5 or 6, which goes through the gas so much. But anyway, I digress. Are they going to Kentucky? Melanie S., you're about 3 days too late. We went to Kentucky. The videos are up on the channel, so go check out our videos from Kentucky. Status Coup, are you heading to Virginia? I don't want to give you our exact location because I think the CIA is watching. But no, we are not headed to Virginia. I'm heading back to New York. Believe it or not, this is Mama Sheridan's car, and she needs it back after a while. So I think we've been on the road for 5 or 6 days.
We left Thursday, so it's Wednesday. It's 6 days.
Yeah. So Jenn and I are talking. Probably a few weeks we might do another road trip through a different part of the country because this is invigorating for both of us. And I also think it's important, as don't hate Jordan, Jen is all good. Don't hate Jordan, Jen is all good. She is good. But I think it's, in all the bullshit. I mean, while we're out here doing this important reporting, there's like stupid debates on cancel culture on Twitter, and everything I see trending is just such bullshit. And Kanye West is trending. Meanwhile, a black woman who was assassinated in bed 117 days ago, no charges, one police officer fired, and it's mentioned here and there, but it's certainly not getting the amount of coverage it should get. So that's why we were really very, very thankful that we could speak with not just Breonna's aunt, but activists on the ground there. Jenn and Jamal covered a protest, which we just published a video from this morning, which you might have not seen because YouTube is suppressing us, so go check this out. And by the way, as a reminder, other than our live streams, when you watch shorter clips, please, please, please like those videos and share those videos too. It helps. Robert Copeland, I found out Status Coup is live now over on Twitter. I rest my case. Which reminds me, let me retweet it on Twitter. Robert, I forgot. Yep, YouTube, it's really, really, really frustrating. I mean, I don't know what other way to say it. I know we talk about the YouTube suppression a lot, but it's infuriating because, not to toot our own horn, but how many other outlets are really doing this? I mean, maybe Unicorn Riot, who recently kind of exploded thanks to their coverage of George Floyd protests in Minneapolis. They go around a bit. But other than that, I really just don't know any outlets that, instead of just bloviating and bullshitting from their garage studio or nicer studio if you're the Young Turks, actually gets out in the country and hands the microphone. See the microphone? There's power in this microphone to the people. And unfortunately, YouTube, it's just really frustrating when you're working so hard. Jen's working on the marketing, me doing the interviews, Jamal behind the camera, and not a lot of people are seeing it. And, I wish we had the answer to how to get around that. Your thoughts?
It's frustrating because, not only does YouTube not share, when we're live or when we've uploaded a new video, but we also share when we're live, all over social media. Jordan has 112 or 13,000 Twitter followers and 20,000 on Facebook. And so we post that we're live in those places too. And it doesn't matter. It still doesn't get seen. And something weird is going on with Jordan's Twitter. You're basically getting no retweets now. With your following, you should be getting seen a lot more. So it's the suppression is everywhere. It's frustrating, but I feel really happy and fulfilled and reinvigorated having been on this road trip. It was amazing. I mean, the interviews Jordan did are just so spectacular, so meaningful and important, and I feel good. And it really, really helps. Even though we are being suppressed, that so many people, so many of you contributed to our road trip fundraiser or watched our stuff, shared our stuff, all your comments we're reading. It feels really, really good. So while we're not getting the high viewership numbers, it's meaningful stuff, and our viewers are truly the best on the planet.
I have a criticism of you here.
What?
BS says, Jen, put your phone down when you drive.
As soon as we were about to go live, it's people are going to yell at me because I'm holding my phone, but I'm doing 10 and 2 first of all, and I'm not looking at texts or anything. This is just the GPS. So calm down, people.
I should say, just for the audience to know, a humble brag here. Did I not drive us through the hurricane yesterday pretty well?
It was terrifying. I don't think I've ever seen rain come down that hard while I've been on the road. It was coming down like a wall of rain. There was zero visibility. It was so dangerous. But Jordan did do a spectacular and heroic job.
On one hand, to be honest with you, I kind of wanted to change the headline real quick to possible death live, because that could go viral, and have a live stream where we can't see and we're twisting all over the road. On the other end, I didn't want to give my girlfriend a heart attack. And I also, don't know if I'd want to be seen dying on the internet. But that was my thought. That was definitely my thought. And by the way, just so you know, BS says, I worry about you guys. LOL. I always come with some BS. We love you, BS. No, she is just looking at the GPS. And you don't even want to know how I hold the steering wheel. But I will say, just on the suppression, we got 84,000 subscribers. We've been live now for 10 minutes. We only have 95 viewers. So not that we don't love you, 95. But that just shows you how delayed it is. Some people get an email or a notification from YouTube right away. Some people get it 20 minutes later. Some people get it 2 years later. We've had to start sending text messages when we're live. The only reason I'm not now is I don't know how to do it from my phone. But it's frustrating. And, I think we're just going to have to continue plowing through. I also think, at the end of the day, how I view things is metrics. Everybody has a different measurement for success, but, even if the subscriber count to YouTube is being suppressed, I think we are slowly spreading the coup, meaning every place we go, we're making connections. We're making connections with activists, with local community leaders, with, in this case, Breonna Taylor's family. And that way, more people are becoming aware to status quo, because in a lot of cases, activists have never heard of us because, again, outlets like YouTube are suppressing us. By the way, did I mention this is a super chat? Just throwing that out there. Help us cover costs for this trip and beyond. So I think as long as we're continuing to plant the seed, eventually we will have that explosion moment that even a YouTube or a Twitter can't suppress. It's just frustrating till we get there. And we're hoping, honestly, I guess this is a bit of a call out to other quote unquote independent progressive media allies. But it would be nice also for others to feature our work. I mean, I'm not saying like every single trip we take has to be covered on other shows, but I think it would be great, for shows like Rising to cover some of the stuff we're doing. Jimmy Dore, Mike from the Humanist Report, thank him for covering the Trump clip. Kyle Kalinske, like obviously they all have creative freedom and, they don't have to do us any favors, but I think a lot of this stuff, we know corporate media is not going to cover it and is not going to elevate it. So we hope that others in our quote unquote sandbox, I would include Jamarl Thomas, the Rational National, am I missing people? Lee Camp. It doesn't need to necessarily be interviews with us, but maybe, showing a clip of Breonna Taylor's aunt from the interview, just to keep it out there, elevates these stories. So I do think progressive media could lift each other up way better. People watch and share the other videos that Status Quo has on YouTube. Yes, Robert. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? I have no idea what you're talking about. Cryptical, I just never seen anybody drive like that before. Okay. Kapow. Okay, so now I learned they have changed the law and made it okay for people holding their phone. Oh, people are really stuck on this phone thing. Donate if you can, allies. Cheyenne Tierra. I agree. Super chats are welcome. Keep pressing that like button. Keep sharing. Sharing is caring. I will say, was Jordan on Redacted Tonight VIP a few weeks ago, or am I wrong? I don't believe I was on.
I think you were. Or you interviewed Lee and put him on.
I interviewed Lee a few weeks ago. I will say, just reporting on the coronavirus, not a lot of people wearing masks here in when we went to West Virginia. People, we're in Maryland. We were at a rest stop. A lot of people not wearing masks. This goes to same thing was in Ohio, Kentucky. As you go west and south, it really is a tale of two countries, which is sad. It's really sad that mask wearing has become the new, don't tread on me, because that's what's going to continue this virus spreading. I mean, honestly, you could call me, a big government person. I don't think it infringes on your civil liberties to mandate mask wearing. I think if we had a sane country, there would be a national law right now to wear masks in public and in large gatherings, because your civil liberties to endanger yourself does not give you the right to endanger me. We know that the coronavirus, it's not just those people not wearing masks endangering themselves, they are endangering other people too. Let's see. People want Jen to be safe, LOL. We already saw her take hell from the cops. Right, but she's not like looking down at her phone to read text messages. She's just has it up for like the next place to turn and that kind of thing. So don't worry, we're all doing okay. Somebody killed his attention. I have news of a pedophile ring being covered up by the police. John Warr Jr., you could email me that, but if it's another Pizzagate, do me a favor and don't.
Let's talk about QAnon.
Oh, let's talk about QAnon? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to give the audience kind of a behind the scenes. Jordan wasn't into it, but I turned on Media Roots. I love Media Roots with Abby Martin and Robbie Martin, and Abby is on maternity leave right now, so it was just Robbie. But he did a report on QAnon, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. But, basically it's that conspiracy theory of Trump supporters who think that he's trying to take down the deep state, and somehow JFK Jr. is still alive, and JFK Jr. is supposed to be Q. I don't know. But what I didn't realize, because Jordan mentioned Pizzagate, what I didn't realize until I listened to Robbie was that Pizzagate was a precursor to QAnon. So I find it psychologically fascinating, talking about the people not wanting to wear masks. There are like conspiracies around that. There are conspiracies about an eventual vaccine for COVID that people think like Bill Gates is injecting a tracker into people's arms. I don't know.
It's really funny. It's really crazy because as soon as you're starting talking about QAnon, the cameras started scrambling.
Whoa!
Yeah, the camera, at least on my screen, has lines and is scrambling. What? I don't know why that is. If you do, Jamal, I don't know.
What kind of lines? What do you mean?
Just kind of, now it went away, but before it was like kind of scrambling a little bit.
What color were those lines?
I don't know. I have sunglasses on, so if it happens again, I'll take my sunglasses off. I think it's QAnon.
It is QAnon.
I'll also say, this is interesting. We'll talk more about the road trip, of course, but I want to talk about this cancel culture stuff. Because we were having a debate, and keep pressing the like button, please, folks. I still don't have a super chat, so I'm a little offended, but that's okay. Hopefully somebody, a couple people can support us, because this trip ain't cheap. Hold on. Don't show this. Don't show it. I don't want a knot to get mad. Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
Roy, I don't want a knot to see what we had for lunch.
I did not have what they had for lunch. I will just say that right there. I didn't. I haven't eaten lunch.
So, honestly, folks, I'm sorry, but I think this cancel culture debate is a lot of bullshit. Frankly,
Be careful what you...
excuse my French, but frankly, to me, and you can say what you want, some people in society should not be given a for-profit microphone. So, for example, if Tucker Carlson, which I tweeted about last night, wants to do an entire segment on Ilhan Omar and Tammy Duckworth, obviously you know Ilhan Omar, but Tammy Duckworth was I forget which war, but she fought in a war. She had her legs blown off, so she's a veteran who fought and nearly died for this country. I don't really know her politics that well, so I can't speak to progressive or establishment, whatever. But she had her legs blown off fighting for the country. So, like, at a base level, have a little respect for the person. Doesn't mean you can't disagree politically. But when Tucker Carlson does a whole interview, a whole segment, like, with their images up, and the title on the screen is, like, attacking our heritage and culture, yeah, I think that person... I have no problem with people trying to, quote-unquote, cancel Tucker Carlson. you have free speech in this country. Tucker Carlson could go out and protest with a megaphone all he wants, calling Tammy Duckworth a moron or Ilhan Omar a threat. Go ahead. But the Constitution and free speech, it's not unlimited free speech for profit. Tucker Carlson is a for-profit figure on Fox News. So if he is going to peddle hate, or people like him are going to peddle hate, and let's face it, incite violence, because really what he's doing by putting Ilhan Omar's face up there with, and it's not even a dog whistle. At that point, it's a loud megaphone. Oh, our culture is at stake. You are, not so subtly, trying to instigate your audience to possibly do violence. So I have zero problem if people want to go after Tucker Carlson and Fox News's advertisers to try and get him off the show. To me, that is not akin to like trying to stifle free speech. That's trying to stifle violence and hate speech. It's not the same thing as like, you know, I don't know, name your idiot on Twitter that posts things I disagree with. Go ahead and post things you disagree with. But there's a difference between free speech and white supremacism and inciting violence. And I think that those people in media that like pretend people like Tucker Carlson is like a right-wing populist, give me a fucking break. Because he once in a blue moon like criticizes the Republican Party, that makes him a white, that makes him a right-wing populist? No, he's not a right-wing populist. I don't recall him leading his show every single night, bashing the Republican Party when they gave a $1.5 trillion tax cut to themselves and their donors. I think he very quietly was like, well, I don't agree with this. I don't remember back in the day with him bashing the TPP or NAFTA. He's not like Bernie Sanders. And by the way, I don't even give a shit if he was like that, because the white supremacy to me cancels out this whole idea. Well, can we work with people I disagree with? Well, for example, let's go to like a Ron Paul, for example. Can I work with Ron Paul if I'm a progressive on ending wars? Yes. But I don't really remember Ron Paul saying, Ilhan Omar, people like that are coming for my culture. I just remember him being a doofus on economics and like wanting the gold standard back. So there are people you could work with that you disagree with, but part of how fascism and authoritarianism builds is normalizing hate speech, is normalizing racism, is normalizing Islamophobia and calling it, well, it's just a viewpoint. We should debate it. No, I'm not debating Tucker Carlson. He's a white supremacist dog whistle. He should be shunned. So that's my opinion. Jordan, please navigate and commentate. You can multitask. Chess for Giants. She's got the navigation in her phone.
Guys,
relax. We're good. Evan Summers, quite right, Jordan. Hold on. I want to read that because ASMR Zealot 35 sec. Swedish road trip support. Love you guys. Love you too. Thank you. Levon Huey, $2.99. I didn't know Roy Rogers was still in business. I didn't either, but I love it. K6875NYC, $4.99. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Keep those super chats coming. Your thoughts on what I said?
So I think first of all, I agree with you. Tucker Carlson is an interesting case because he taps into the alt-right for a few different reasons. A lot of people on the alt-right are also anti-war, which typically people see as more of a leftist stance. But people like Cassandra Fairbanks, for example, is extremely anti-war. So Tucker often gets, brownie points from some people who are anti-war on the right and people who are anti-war on the left. So he's found a formula, I think, that appeals to a lot of younger people as well as older people. And then his clips, go viral, and even people on the left are sharing them, and people on the left are going on his show. And there's a lot of debate, like, should Glenn Greenwald go on, which I don't even know if Glenn Greenwald considers himself really a leftist anymore. I think he's more like, I don't know. But people say, should you even entertain the idea? Like Michael Tracey has gone on to, don't even get me started on Michael Tracey. But
who else is gonna have Michael Tracey on? By the way, straight up, I don't really care what people say. Michael Tracey, whether he knowingly is a white supremacist or not, is catering to white supremacists on Twitter. I tweeted it the other day. I stand for it. I think his tweets are absolutely insane. I think his tweets are very intentionally meant just to stoke controversy, because I think he's addicted to the retweets. I think he's addicted to the comments. And I think he's addicted to, frankly, being a topic of attention, even if it's criticism. But when you are a white person in America, basically kind of trying to be clever and contraire, being like, you know, the things he tweets about the black trans people and like equating that to like cancer. I don't even know what he's saying half the time, but he tweets things basically pretending that he's he pretends that he's criticizing the protests from a public health standpoint. By saying, you know, oh, these protests are terrible because, you know, people during a pandemic. He doesn't give a shit about the public health consequences. His whole shtick is just to have a wildly opposing viewpoint. It doesn't matter if it comes off racist. It doesn't matter if it comes off ignorant. It doesn't matter if it comes off lacking empathy or sympathy. And he's a very privileged person, frankly. He grew up in New Jersey, decent part of Jersey. And I think he has not a clue that a lot of those people out protesting are just as likely to get killed by a police officer as the coronavirus. And that's why they're protesting, because they are under threat every day, pandemic or no pandemic. So I'll just add him to the list. I'm not saying cancel him, because honestly, I could care less. But it just, back in the day, he might have had some good contrarian viewpoints. But I think right now, what you see him tweeting, he's clearly dog whistling to, I don't even know who, the alt-right, white supremacists. He's got Richard Spencer retweeting him. It's dangerous, the stuff he's been tweeting.
I completely agree. And, you know, you brought up the fact that he's been, I wish I could remember his exact phrasing, but he's tweeting racist things about black people, about black trans people, and trying to paint this narrative of the protests that they're just violent leftists who are like destroying. You know, it's a very right-wing stance that he's taking.
Oh, just like kind of like out-of-work hippies looking for something to do. They're bored.
Yeah, right. Oh, by the way, on the topic of Michael Tracey, before we get back to cancel culture, if you guys want to give yourself a little treat, Google Michael Tracey and Ann Coulter, because and you have to find the video clip of Michael Tracey trying to get his book signed, or trying to get a piece of paper signed by Ann Coulter. Spoiler, he gets taken away in handcuffs after some shrill screaming. So anyway, give yourself a little treat.
And pummeled to the ground and squeals out, "Get your hands off me!"
I mean, yeah. So it's really a treat. But about cancel culture, yeah, white supremacists, they don't need a platform, and it's about them. Also, it's about them not profiting, like canceling Tucker Carlson or whatever, or putting pressure on those who advertise on his show. Yeah, cancel that. Like it's ridiculous, and you have to put pressure on the money. So obviously the alternate viewpoint here, which I can't remember if you brought it up on air, but off air you were talking about the fact that some leftists say, well, where's the line if you start to in quotes cancel people for right-wing views or racist views, like it's going to happen to the left too. And so some people would cite the recent Reddit bans, the subreddit bans, where they banned the Donald, which at one time was the biggest, like, MAGA gathering spot. At the same time that they deleted that subreddit, they also deleted the Chapo Trap House subreddit. So people were saying, see, look, they're coming for the leftists. They're coming for the leftists. So Jordan, I know you have thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, I think that gets into a bigger discussion, because at the end of the day, who should be canceled and should not be left up to Silicon Valley. And that gets into the whole discussion of these platforms should be regulated as public utilities, because that's what they are. So I think it's two separate discussions. Number one, what are the criteria? I don't even like the term canceled. I'm just saying, who should have a platform for profit? Again, nobody's saying Tucker Carlson, he want to have a blog, he want to go out and, say his white supremacist shit out at protests, he want to have a lemonade stand with Ilhan Omar's sign, fine. But he doesn't have a First Amendment right to make millions of dollars on a private media station targeting Muslims, targeting black people. That's what I'm saying. But no, I do not think Reddit or YouTube or any of these people should just Mark Zuckerberg be the arbiters of who should have a platform and who shouldn't. It should be publicly regulated, because these are public utilities. And because these companies, these social media companies, have poured in, billions of dollars into politicians' campaigns, they haven't been regulated. And I think we're headed for that changing, to be honest. The other thing I would say is I'm not, in terms of canceling, I'm an equal opportunist. I think Tucker Carlson, I have zero problem with Tucker Carlson and attempts to get him off the air. I also encourage boycotts of people like Rachel Maddow's advertisers. Because if you, as a journalist, I don't care if you're technically a commentator, if MSNBC is going to call itself a news channel and you mislead your audience for years with zero corrections, and you are stoking a new Cold War, we're talking about Rachel Maddow and Russiagate, it might not be, white supremacy, but it's certainly dangerous, delusional talk. Same thing could be said for Fox News on many other stories. So I think people with public platforms, of course, journalists, commentators make mistakes. If you have integrity, you correct them. But I have zero problem, and I would even encourage efforts to boycott Rachel Maddow, because it's not like somebody just giving an opinion you don't like. It's knowingly putting out false information and propaganda, which incites deranged thinking, and in some cases, deranged actions. That's what Russiagate was. So I kind of view it from a lot of different perspectives. But what I take issue is with people who consider themselves like leftist, kind of like defending this violent right-wing hate speech by being like, no, Tucker Carlson, like, whatever, you don't agree with him, you debate it. Like, no, by you saying debate it, it's actually giving his hate, it's almost normalizing his hate as like, oh, it's just a viewpoint to debate. No, it's not just a viewpoint to debate. It's bigotry, it's racism, and it's inciting viewers to commit violence. So I just disagree. But anyway, let's get back to business. By the way, I saw some people, I'm not, again, just to be clear, I'm not talking about like, let's cancel Barry Weiss, the New York Times writer, who every single piece she does is terrible and awful. That's just the New York Times. They hire terrible people almost all the time to give their opinions. They're elitist, they're cosmopolitan, cocktail crowd people that are hired as columnists there, overall, with few exceptions. But like, whatever, she's not like inciting violence that I know of. She's just an idiot. So like, I think there are lines where like, let's not cancel everyone we have a difference of opinion with. But I think when you deduce dangerous people inciting violence and hate to just like, oh, we just have an honest disagreement of, a different worldview. Let's debate it. Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway, so back to the road trip. And by the way, you can support us, statuscoup.com/join. If you're not a member yet, sign up as a member for as low as $5 a month. That's what funds this kind of reporting for the long haul. That's what funds the trips to Kentucky and Ohio and Pennsylvania and New Jersey and, all the other places we want to go. We have lost quite a lot of members during coronavirus. I'm not going to lie. I mean, as members, hopefully not as humans. So we've lost about 150 paying members, which hurts. But we know, most of them, a lot of them actually have reached out to us apologizing. It's just they lost their job or whatever. So we totally understand why you had to cancel. For those that do have the funds, this is what you're spending it on. Not just us shooting the shit in the car, but us actually going out and giving a microphone back to the people. We have a lot more stuff and interviews we did from this trip that we haven't posted yet. So if you missed some of the live streams, we're going to be posting a lot of these interviews over the next few days. So definitely support us. statuscoup.com/join. And we did headline this Q&A. So feel free, if you got some questions, comments, concerns, let us have it. We got 200 people watching. So keep sharing this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Kelly Elaine, I canceled cable altogether years ago. News online, independent, Fire Stick for programming and movies or DVDs to completely unplug with my honey. Oh, that sounds lovely. Anani Moose, unemployment running out of the end of July. Yeah, you would think there's actual life or death things going on, but cancel culture is being debated. Yes, most of our interviews on this road trip talked about, frankly, the looming Great Depression. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, Jen. There is a looming Great Depression. Trump's living in his own fantasy land. The Republicans, because the last month unemployment numbers went down, Trump is acting like this explosion in corona. Like every single day, we are setting new records for one-day positive cases of coronavirus. Meanwhile, Trump is acting like it's under control. It's just because we're testing more. This is all provably false. And all the while, in about 2 weeks, the expanded $600 a month unemployment is running out. Unemployment, by the way, that millions of Americans that are eligible for it haven't even been able to get. They've been spending hours and days on the phone with their unemployment offices in the states that they live, yet they haven't even been able to get it. That's expiring. We see no talk from Republicans. I see no negotiations going on for that to be extended. There's zero talk, of course, about what Rashida Tlaib and Bernie Sanders have proposed, which is basically UBI every month, $2,000 a month, more for married couples. Obviously, no talk for Medicare. In his base, following Trump's tweets, his rallies, and acting like we're not near an economic cliff.
Yeah, I think it goes to show you who is actually in power, who these people really are. It's on the right, it's on the left. They don't care about or think about working class people in this country. They care about bailing out businesses. I don't know, Jordan, if you saw, I'm sure you did, but they came out with like a list, or they released a list of people who got the PPP loans, and it's a ridiculous list, like who is getting these loans, and then we, millions of dollars, and just for do you remember any of the big ones who got these loans?
Kanye West got the loan. Pelosi's husband got a loan. Multi-millionaire got a loan. I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell's wife.
Okay.
Chow,
Mitch McConnell's wife got a loan. A lot of billionaires that are already billionaires got loans. Yeah, I would definitely say more of the donors got loans than the people.
Yeah, and so it's they're taking care of people who are already taken care of in this country. And they're not forgetting about the working class people. They just don't care about the working class people. And so they silenced everybody just enough with that $1,200 check, and now they're expecting everyone to just kind of wither on their own. They wanted to stop people from storming the gates, so they gave that $1,200, and now everyone's just going back to sleep.
And ironically, we were listening to Best of George Carlin earlier, and George Carlin I don't agree with him on like not voting and just accept the corruption and be done with it. But he was George Carlin was a fantastic comedian, and honestly, I guess I think the Jon Stewarts of the world can thank George Carlin, because George Carlin said it best, like, it's a big fucking club and you ain't in it. And that's what we're experiencing right now. And honestly, if not for these idiots not wearing masks causing the explosion in cases in Florida, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, and other places, I think pretty soon, when it's safe, you're going to see millions of people in the streets. Status Coup will be there covering it, by the way. And it won't be just the Black Lives Matter movement. It's going to be an economic populist outrage, because people are facing evictions. People don't have health care. People can't pay rent. People can't pay utilities. People can't pay the car payments. I mean, you name it. People are facing the abyss. And I remember just the interview we did with that young couple in right outside of Pittsburgh. I don't know how old they were, probably late 20s, early 30s. They have a 1.5-year-old. I'm blanking on the name.
Annika. Oh, that one.
No, their names. Jacqueline and Josh and Jacqueline. And their story is pretty similar to millions of people. They're numb to it. We're on food stamps, welfare. We're both out of work right now with a 1.5-year-old. The unemployment has been a godsend, but it's running out in the next few weeks. So we don't know what we're going to do. We're hoping our landlord will work with us, but a lot of it's just hope with a 1.5-year-old. That's the United States, or shall I say the United Corporations of America. Anony Moose, where are the J team headed today? J team's headed home. Mama Sheridan needs the car. Jen's got to get back to her kitties. I think the next live stream, the next road trip, I think will be a little bit longer. We just got to figure out, and honestly, I don't think you guys realize the behind the scenes. Thank you, Gene, 1999 in the super chat. Keep those super chats coming. They keep us going. And you could also support this trip at statuscoup.com/road trip. Jen has been posting awesome behind the scenes photos.
I'm a little behind, but I'll update it today. So.
She's a little behind, but she'll update it today. But I don't think you guys realize, it's really not easy to book all of these interviews, on the fly. You could try and plan it, ahead of time. We did. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, sometimes people don't see your message to them for 2 days. Sometimes people see your message when you've already left. Some people don't really know who you are, so they don't answer.
Yeah, it takes these people a while to build up trust. They don't trust the media, a lot of these activists. So it was, we talked about this before, the case in Kentucky was that once we were trusted by one person who agreed to an interview, then they would start to help us book other interviews. That's how Jordan ended up getting Breonna Taylor's fiance.
Yeah, so it's kind of like getting one interview in a state. CNN, MSNBC, all of these channels with much bigger resources have producers and bookers and all that to do the work for them. We're kind of a lot of times, you guys think I'm being rude to the person I'm interviewing, but the reason I'm looking at my phone a lot of times, A, to make sure the audio is working, so read the comments, see if the audio is good, but also I've got the person that I've been trying to get in touch with for the last 6 hours finally gets back to me, and I'm trying to respond while I have their attention because I'm trying to book an interview with them for 2 hours from now. So it's that kind of thing. I wish we had more staff first of all, I wish we had more money to hire more staff to kind of take that load off of us. But it's not easy to book all these interviews, and we're definitely enjoying them. Les Scheiman, can't we all start a new progressive network? Status Coup, Kyle, Jimmy, Gray Zone. Hey, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. I've been saying this for a while. I think progressives living on their own islands in terms of progressive media. You know, not trying to borrow from my best friend Hillary Clinton, but I really think we would be stronger together. Everybody could have their own shows and identity. Of course, you could still have your own, memberships and stuff like that. But I think it would be much better on like a channel. But unfortunately, there's a lot of egos involved. Yeah, you see the scrambling going on?
Use the middle 2 lanes to take exit 91B.
It definitely shouldn't be that way.
695 alternate south toward New York.
It shouldn't be that way from live view, so we'll have to ask them. But anyway, very staticky. Yeah, unfortunately, that happens sometimes with the live view. It usually doesn't happen when we are stationary.
Take the
So
exit, then keep left to merge onto I-695.
it might be the satellite signal as we drive, so sorry about that. I would love a progressive media network. So would I. ASMR Ozelet, 25 sec. Thank you again for the great interviews this trip. Thank you for watching and enjoying and sharing and all that stuff. Yeah, it's weird. The green staticky lines happen seems like every 20 minutes. Then they stop. Then they come back. I think it has to do with the driving and satellites and all that. So sorry about that. Yes, a giant website out of YouTube would be wonderful. Don't worry about scrambling. It's quick and out. Thank you very much, Kelly Elaine, for the support. So the other thing I'll say from this road trip is Melanie Dennis, I heard TYT is going to start a network next year's. Melanie, call me cynical, but I thought it was already called TYT Network. Aren't they supposed to be a network already? Anyway, I'm in a good mood, so I don't want to get on the topic of TYT. Put me in a bad mood. John War Jr., $5. Please covering up pedophile ring. Got your attention now. John War Jr., are you saying I'm covering up a pedophile ring, or we should cover a pedophile ring? First of all, John, I don't know if you realize this. It's not an excuse. I'm just keeping it real. When you're on the road driving all day doing multiple interviews, it's kind of hard to cover also the number one trender. I know Jenn lives and dies off of this Jeffrey Epstein story, so she will be digging. She will be digging once she gets home on the latest. Ghislaine Maxwell suddenly has coronavirus in prison in New Hampshire. I think she's being transferred to New York. But wouldn't that be convenient if she died of coronavirus in jail?
So it's, obviously people were making the joke as soon as it was announced that she was arrested. Like, okay, people were already tweeting Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill herself and expecting that something crazy is going to happen. And then we learn that she has COVID and she's being transferred to Brooklyn. She's a terrible, terrible human being. It's disgusting. The stuff that she knows could take down a lot of very powerful people. So, but I don't know if I think that they would be so brazen as to let Ghislaine Maxwell die. That would be too obvious, don't you think?
I mean, the Jeffrey Epstein thing was obvious. The Epstein thing was obvious, and they did it. So, why would they not? Are you expecting they know that CNN's not going to dig into it? So no, I don't think so. Yeah, she meant Epstein killed, not Ghislaine.
No, I'm saying people were making the joke, so riffing off of the thing that became kind of a meme, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. People were already tweeting Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill herself, as a playing into that, preemptively saying, okay, clearly she's gonna end up dead.
Right. But I'll tell you, get your popcorn, because either she's gonna die or she's gonna slay a lot of other people. But yeah, no, we will cover it. It's just you can only cover so many things while driving all day and interviews and stuff like that. Robert Copeland, 130,000 people have died from COVID out of 1,300 people have died of COVID out of 3,000 inmates at San Quentin Prison in California. Oh my God. Yeah, the prisons in America with COVID is a huge story. I know people have been mentioning that to me to cover. I've actually gotten a couple messages in the past about tips or whistleblowers on stuff with prisons, and I say, great, send me more information, and then they go dark. So, yeah, I would like to cover that a little, Messin. Torleaf Gunderson, don't mention TYT or John, he gets triggered. The best name in news, LOL. The greatest man ever, any sane progressive gets triggered when you mention TYT. Bloody sellouts. Woohoo! I will say, by the way, just in defense of some at TYT, when I was at TYT, there was a little gap between, like, the newsroom. I mean, they've laid off a lot of people since I've been there, but there was a gap between, like, the editors and producers and stuff and, like, Jenk. So there was definitely a lot of people in the newsroom that were not, like, down with the every single segment. Let's do every single segment on Trump. Let's ignore Hillary's corruption. Like, maybe, I don't know how they voted, but maybe they were ending up voting for Hillary, but they certainly weren't down with, like, the hard turn that Jenk was making to covering Trump 24/7, the Russiagate stuff. That's at least when I was there. I don't know what it's like now. So it's not everybody at TYT in some of their defense. Damn, didn't even she had COVID. Yep. Dave, don't forget, GoFundMe is open 24/7. That's right, Dave. We got our GoFundMe. We did a specific fundraiser for this trip, which you guys have been so generous. We've raised a lot of money to help us cover the costs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Anony Moose, Jordan, I found out about status quo from the Humanist Report. That's what I'm saying, Anony Moose. Like I was saying, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, obviously, like, we try not to pester other people. We don't want to, like, come on too strong. I send some of our videos to, like, Crystal at Rising and Mike from the Humanist Report and others, just so they see, like, we're in the field, what we're covering. If they want to have us on, we would love to go on. If they want to cover it, we would love it. I just try not to be like, please have me on. But it definitely helps us a lot because, unfortunately, one of the biggest ways for us to grow is exposure on these outlets with bigger platforms. Like The Hill, for example, they're growing so quickly. Kyle had mentioned this on his show. It's not to take anything away from them. I love Crystal. Saga, yeah. But, like, they're with The Hill, which is a corporate outlet. And corporate outlets automatically on YouTube get pushed higher up on the algorithm. That's a large reason for their quick growth. It doesn't mean that they're not good, but they're with more corporate outlets, so it helps being seen on YouTube to be with a corporate outlet. So it's super helpful when even getting on there like once every other month, just to get status quo out there. We do see a rise in subscribers when we're on Crystal. Jordan, your work for TYT was the best. I appreciate that. The greatest man ever. I bailed on TYT's main channel after the New York primary in 2016. I only watched Jordan after that. Preach. Appreciate it. I stopped watching TYT after Jordan left and just watched Jimmy, and when he left, I stopped watching. Thank you. It's weird because, like, I guess I'm still on TYT's email list, and I got an email from them yesterday. They're basically, like, fundraising for TYT, like, with the angle of getting rid of Trump. But the angle is, I mean, the way I read it was like, support Joe Biden. I'm like, you're literally fundraising, calling yourself Rebel Headquarters by sending out fundraising emails to, like, get Joe Biden elected? Like, listen, I'm not telling people how to vote. Totally get those who say whatever. I'll hold my nose. I want to get Trump out. I get it. But, like, I don't know. It just seems like mixed messages when you're, like, calling yourselves progressive, yet fundraising emails are like, let's elect Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's like, as Jordan said, obviously we're not telling you how to vote. I totally understand, especially in swing states, those who choose to vote for Biden. And like Bernie, Bernie's main goal seems to be getting Trump out. So I totally understand that. But to be in air quotes progressive outlet and focus your marketing on pushing Joe Biden seems like a really weird choice. Although not weird when you consider what TYT has become. They're certainly no rebels. They're not revolutionaries.
Well, I'll say this, and I don't want to spend too much time on TYT because I don't want people to think like, this is just Jordan being bitter. But I think one thing that really frustrates me, and I find really a missed opportunity, and I felt this way when I was there, and I actually expressed it to Jenk, was everything that the progressive movement has been talking about since Bernie's loss. We got to figure out a way to combat the corporate media, because I think most objective people, there's a lot of reasons Bernie lost. One of them was Bernie being soft. But I don't think many objective people could deny, the media played a huge role. And the corporate media, between South Carolina and Super Tuesday, I thought they swung the election for Biden. He got over $100 million in free advertising in 3 days. That's not my opinion. A report came out from the New York Times that all told, Biden got $100 million in free advertising after his victory in South Carolina before Super Tuesday. You look at the exit polls for Super Tuesday, I think it was 40-50% of voters who voted for Biden said they decided in those final days. So I thought, when I was at TYT, you have this, you actually have the resources. Yeah, they didn't have CNN's resources, but they had resources at the time. They definitely had the resources after they got a massive investment to actually hire more reporters and do more of what we're doing to complement the main show. Not to toot my horn, kind of. I grew the fastest channel they ever had. And it wasn't sitting in a studio bashing Trump 24/7. It was going out into the country and covering stories no one else was and just interviewing normal people. Shocking. There's a demand for that. And I think if TYT would have stuck with that, even after whatever, getting rid of me, if they would have doubled down on the reporting in the field, I think that network would be a lot larger. I think the progressive movement would have reached a lot more people that aren't necessarily already progressive. Basically, I think they are one of the few outlets that actually had the resources to do that, and they chose not to, in my opinion, because there's kind of a friction when you say you want a network, but the leader only wants to hear his own voice 24/7. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Did I?
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much you kind of invented what you did at TYT. You were the one who had this vision of going out in the field and covering what wasn't being covered. You essentially convinced Jenk that was needed. And
he wanted me to when I first got there, he just wanted me to interview the campaign aides, the pundits, other journalists. I'm like, why the fuck would I do that? Why don't I go interview voters and people and poor people and homeless people, whatever? And he, once the numbers started exploding, then he was like, do whatever the fuck you want, because numbers are really what he cares about. But originally he just wanted it to be a pretty standard politics channel.
Yeah, and you carved out that space, and I think it's such a missed opportunity. When they did that, they fundraised $2 million off of Jordan's name, Jenk saying, give me 10 more Jordan Cheridans. But it was such a missed opportunity because I'm not going to name names, but I don't think they necessarily made the right choice.
I'll name names. You know what? Why the hell? Why not? We're on a road trip. Why didn't I tell the audience how Michael Tracey was hired?
Oh, okay.
Oh, this. Start the super chats coming because I'm about to dish. Dropping
the tea.
So, actually, I'm partially responsible for Michael Tracey being hired. So, I'm at the inauguration of President Trump. So, this is January 2017. And I guess from what I remember, TYT, their fundraiser for the $2 million, I guess every time they raised another $500,000 was the milestone for hiring another reporter. So I guess when they raised $500,000, they hired Nomiki, and when they raised $1 million, they hired Michael. So at the time of the inauguration, I guess they were about to hit $100,000. Excuse me, $1 million raised. Like, I guess, I don't know, that day or the next day, I don't remember. So Cenk calls me while I'm in DC, and he says, "You know any good reporters that you think we should hire?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a little busy at the inauguration, so give me a couple days. I'll, tell you who I have in mind." And he's like, "No, I got to announce someone tomorrow." And I'm not saying this because I'm bitter. This is truly what happened. So I'm like, you're announcing somebody tomorrow? Have you interviewed anyone? Have you interviewed anyone? No. So, I don't know. I gave him a couple names that I thought were good. I literally said, I've never seen this guy's work, but I like his tweets.
Back then,
Back then, I liked his tweets. I'm like, I think his tweets are kind of clever, but I don't know if he necessarily goes in the field and reports. So, but I gave him Michael Tracey's name in addition to a couple others. I'm trying to think of who else I gave. The name escapes me. And, they announced Michael's hiring the next day. So it just shows you, to me, fans pouring in hundreds, literally $2 million. And they literally had no real hiring process, just reaching out to me the day before. I mean, there were certain people that Cenk was leaning on that I told him, listen, do what you want, but I don't see this person at Standing Rock. I don't see this person in the trenches in East Chicago, Indiana, interviewing poor people. I see this person wanting to grow their Twitter follower. So anyway, that's what happened. I mean, yeah, I think that for the amount of money that was fundraised, I think they could have hired a lot more qualified people that were independent, but also because the people they hired, honestly, Michael, his interest is, as far as I knew, wasn't really going to cover communities that have been devastated, or he's a contrarian hipster, Anyway, I won't go on because I don't want to make this all about TYT. But I was just stunned when he called me. He's like, "No, I need to hire someone tomorrow." And I don't know if this is true. All I'm saying is what I was told, but I'm not even sure Cenk was the one who directly interviewed Michael Tracey. I was told somebody else interviewed him. So anyway, that's what happened. No one would even know Jordan if it wasn't for TYT. Hey, Belinda, I think you're getting it twisted. I've always said I am appreciative for the opportunity. So you're certainly right that there would be no status coup if I couldn't have raised my profile there. So it's certainly not all bad. Of course, I don't like the way things ended. There was a lot of things said about me that were simply false, that were damaging to me. But putting that aside, I've moved forward, and obviously status coup is growing. So thank you. TYT is trying to raise $200,000 a month. One thing that nobody ever asks, and again, I hope people believe me. I'm not saying this out of bitterment. I'm saying this out of this is my journalistic thought. Why? Can you imagine any company that if they got a $20 million investment, and pretty soon after that investment, they start laying off dozens of people, and then has to be fundraising again 2 years later to raise another $2 million? If that were any other company, people would start to ask questions what'd you do with the $20 million investment? Why did you start laying people off so soon after? Why do you have to raise another $2 million? Where did the $20 million go? It's just bonkers to me. Because if the roles were reversed, and let's say Glenn Beck got a $20 million investment,
Then turn left onto Harford Road.
if Glenn Beck got a $20 million investment, and then like was laying off dozens of workers soon after that.
Use the left 2 lanes to turn onto Harford Road.
I'm pretty sure I know a independent media host named Cenk Uygur who would be all over that. So it's boggling. Nobody ever asked these questions. But anyway, I thank you both. Thank you. By the way, we got 250 viewers, so keep pressing that like button. Keep sharing this. Keep subscribing. Love you, love you, love you. Nobody's knocking TYT on the exception of letting Jordan go. Why, thank you. And again, like, we didn't start this live stream meeting to talk about TYT. I don't even remember how it came up. But anyway, you know, I've always said I appreciate the opportunity, and that's that.
Right onto East Joppa Road.
Michael Isidoro Hernandez, welcome to Status Coup, part of the JDN Corporation. I don't know what the JDN Corporation is.
I don't know.
But if you could tell me who JDN is, if they have any money, TYT does not hold a candle to Democracy Now! For news. You know, I haven't really seen Democracy Now! Lately, just because I've been busy, but I do like Democracy Now! For the most part. Oh, these green lines again. We're gonna have to call live view. I encourage people to check out Pastor Dowell on here. He is religious and right-wing, but pay attention to his land food setup. We could form left-wing communist or anarchy-type communes of our own. Be careful, Tommy. YouTube might scrub you. Communist is their safe word. Thank you, new member Dennis.
Oh.
New Status Coup member Dennis. We love you. Join Dennis. Statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as a cup of coffee a day. That's $5 a month. Kimberly S. Status Coup. How is Ty? Do you know what he's up to? Yeah, I think he actually just got hired by Stephen Colbert. Not The Late Show. I don't know what it is. It's something to do with Stephen Colbert. I don't think he's working for Stephen Colbert's Late Show, but some other project with Stephen Colbert. So he's living in New York now, and he just got hired with Stephen Colbert. So good for him. Melanie just signed up for our $20 a month.
Oh.
Melanie, we love you. Spread the coup. Thank you very much. And by the way, Jen's going to have this unfortunate task.
Oh, no.
We're going to definitely start reaching out to our annual members who signed up for annual last year, trying to get them to sign up for annual again. Obviously, we get economic times are different, so if those that signed up for annual memberships last year can't again, we'll totally understand. But we're definitely going to try and, get back as many of those folks as possible. Are we almost at the next destination?
Yeah, I'm going to drive around a little bit, and then we can park and just keep going a little bit.
Okay. So, anyway, 255 people. Wow.
2.2 miles, turn left into the parking lot.
It's like Christmas considering the YouTube suppression of the last week. And by the way, to all 255 of you, if you have not yet seen my interview with Bianca Austin, the aunt of Breonna Taylor, please, after this live stream, please go watch it. Please go like it. Please share it. YouTube really screwed us. Literally, in the first hour that we published that interview yesterday, it got 66 views, which is like algorithmic suicide. It's clearly YouTube doing something. I don't think a lot of people have seen that the interview is even on the channel, but it's a really powerful interview. She was really, really just the range of emotions, heartbroken by the murder of her niece, angry, confused. I mean, it was just really raw, and I hope you'll watch it after this. Arya Stark, love you, Arya. Anyways, from a volunteer, thanks for focusing on news of suppression and fraud in the 2016 and 2020 primaries. Status Coup, when you were at TYT Politics, shame they didn't have you on the main channel. Don't get me started, Arya. I might have to hire you to do some, what did Arya do? She slayed some faceless men. Thank you, Arya. I would have liked them to put me on the main show more too. Robert, to all new Status Coup members, you will love the members call. Yeah, we got to do our members call soon. We're in a new month now. A monthly members call with members. We were doing it when Zoom wasn't so in use. But we'll have to do that maybe next week. It was a great interview. Saw it live. Why, thank you. I appreciate that. Jordan, thanks for covering Jenn Perelman running against DWS. Really needs some national attention on this one. Interview Joe Kimoke next. I don't know who Joe Kimoke is, but email me the info at statuscoup.com. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out because I saw her comment. Also, don't forget us going on the road. It's not just us going on the road. You know, there's other people that need to sacrifice. So, for example, my girlfriend, her parents are a little older. So, because we're going on the road, her and I have to separate for a few days. Like, I'm going to go get tested for COVID again, just to make sure I'm negative so that, I don't want to unknowingly give it to her and then her go and see her parents who are older. So, there's things like that where, we have to separate for a little bit. So it's not just us going out on the road, but we have to make accommodations with our loved ones. So does Jenn. So definitely shout out to the other members of the Coup that make it all happen. Soap opera, $10. Thanks for visiting Louisville and putting a spotlight on David James, my council rep. These people need more exposure. I don't know about David James needing more exposure. I got to tell you the truth, soap opera. I wasn't so impressed. By David James, and I actually have ideas on when I get home investigating a certain law he claimed meant. He said that there was a law in Kentucky that elected officials cannot comment on pending investigations of officers, but as far as I know, or pending charges, I don't even know. But as far as I know, nobody's been charged or anything like that, so I think that was a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, Status Coup should interview Howie Hawkins, too. I reached out to Mr. Hawkins. He hasn't responded to me, so don't blame me. I've reached out. Gene Shai, Jordan, did you ever pick up the care package I sent you? Gene, listen, you know me to be a truth teller, so I'm going to be honest with you, Gene. I don't want you to be upset at me. I have not picked up the care package yet. The care package was sent to our P.O. box. Our P.O. box is near my former address that I recently moved from. And because of COVID, I wasn't going downtown because I would have had to take the subway. But for you, I'm going to find a way to go there probably this weekend. I have to change the P.O. box anyway to be closer to where I live now. But no, I haven't picked it up yet. I don't want you to be mad at me. It's because of COVID. I didn't want to take the subway, which is pretty gross before the pandemic. But I will pick it up. Thanks for reminding me. Jordan, did you see a judge ordered DAPL shut down and emptied for oil? No, I missed that. Yes, of course I saw it, Torleaf. We spoke about it the other day during our live stream. I'm actually, when I'm home in my lavish studio, going to do a whole breakdown of that. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so I'm going to say I'm cautiously euphoric. I say cautiously because it's not over till it's over. The company and the government will appeal the decision if they haven't already appealed it. They're not going out without a fight. It can be overturned. This election could make a difference on whether it's overturned, although I don't have great hope that Joe Biden would make sure Dakota Access Pipeline stays out of operation. Trump definitely would try to push it back in operation. So as of now, let's celebrate, but it definitely could face appeals and possibly another judge overturning this judge. So I will have more to say on that. Anyway, unfortunately, we have to go because I need to start my drive back to New York. Jenn, any last words?
I want to thank everyone. You guys are the ones who made it possible for us to go on this road trip. The content's incredible. The interviews have been incredible. And I'm just so glad that we made the trip. And we're all exhausted and tired. We've been driving forever. But it's all worth it, and just thank you guys so much. Please keep spreading the word about Status Coup. And I will be, once I get home, updating the blog. I have some great pictures, behind-the-scenes pictures, so statuscoup.com/roadtrip. But I have even more behind-the-scenes stuff for members that I'll be posting. So behind-the-scenes stuff of Jordan singing. We had conversations like yesterday after the David James interview, we recorded a conversation we had about how disappointed we were, let's say. So if you want the hot goss, as the kids say, become a member, statuscoup.com/join. It's just $5 a month. You might say, oh, that's not very much. It won't make a difference. But please join. It does make a difference. Sign your cat up. Sign your dog up. Your grandma. Everybody. statuscoup.com/join.
Progressive 78 says, I love Jen more than any person I don't know.
I love you back. That's so sweet.
Anywho, like she said, please sign up, statuscoup.com/join. It's $5 a month. If you don't have the money, we get it. If you do have that extra $5, that's how we're going to grow for the long term. We don't have Joe Rogan's audience. We don't have the Young Turks audience, hopefully one day. So for now, it's totally grassroots. We still have no money from the banks, no money from the fossil fuckers, no money from Big Pharma, no money from big real estate, no money from Silicon Valley, no money from the military-industrial complex, no money from Jeffrey Epstein, and we are proud to reject all of those sinister forces, and the only way we will grow is through you. So sign up, statuscoup.com/join, and please, if you haven't seen it, go after this live stream, click on all the videos we've uploaded so far from this reporting trip, like them, comment if you can, share them, beat the YouTube fuckery together. Peace out.